I'm quickly stopping in from the Wellbeing Collective at Hart House to let you know how excited we are to be working with Aisha from HUE Foods to bring you this 3-part vegan-friendly recipe series. The Wellbeing Collective at Hart House looks to examine what it means to live and be well for Indigenous, Black, and racialized folk. So let's dig in and have some good eats.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we are making a vegan carbonara. This dish is super simple, really easy, really light ingredients as well. So we're gonna be starting off with some frozen green peas. You also can use fresh ones, but these ones are great. And it's a good size. You can use these a couple different times as well. Also, if you followed the last recipe, we had some leftover tofu. So we're gonna use this, and that's gonna kind of make like the meat of the dish. Then we're gonna be using some linguini. We're gonna need about 2 to 3 tablespoons of flour. We're also gonna be using an onion, so this is leftover from the last dish as well. Some of the seasonings that we're gonna be using today is going to be garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, black pepper, and parsley. And then the most important ingredient is nutritional yeast. Now, for this particular ingredient, you can get all of this stuff from Bulk Barn. And you can buy it individually, small amount. You don't gotta buy a lot. And that's what will keep the cost down as well. We're gonna be using, again, for the meat portion of this meal, we're gonna be going back to our soya sauce and our liquid smoke. And then any non-dairy milk. I'm choosing to use oat milk, but you can also use almond milk, soy milk, cashew milk, whatever you got. And then of course, have some salt on hand. I'm choosing to use Himalayan salt. All right, let's get started. All right, so I'm gonna use about a quarter of the tofu that we had from the last dish. And we're gonna cut them in about 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick, I guess like rectangles shaped. And then we're gonna cut them in half again. And we're gonna cut them into small little squares. Now we're gonna season this up. So we're gonna add in a couple droplets of our liquid smoke. We're gonna add in some of our soya sauce here. What I love about this particular soy sauce, it's actually not super salty. So it's really quite good. You can add in a bit of salt if you like as well, which I'm going to do. And we're gonna cook this onto the stove. Get some olive oil into the pan. I think I'm gonna add in a little bit of garlic powder. And just for a bit more color, I'm gonna do a bit more soy sauce. Now, if you want it to be like really nice and dark, which you can do, you can get a dark soy sauce, but this one is just a regular one that I have. We're gonna start by chopping some onions. All right, so this is gonna be the base of our sauce. So if you want, you can have your onions be quite thick, but I'm actually gonna chop it down really quite small. Let's add in our tofu. While that's cooking down, continue chopping. And now looking at this, I don't know if I'm gonna use all of these onions. I'll probably use about half of this for the dish. And then I'll save the rest for the next recipe. So what's really nice about this tofu is gonna get color relatively quickly, which is awesome. This tofu looks about done. You can see there's some really nice browning that's happening on it. So you wanna just let it cook down until it starts to get some really good color. Okay, so now we're gonna make the sauce portion of the carbonara. So in a wok or whatever pan you got, you're gonna put some oil Let it get nice and warm. So what I did was I actually saved some of the water from the pasta. I'm put in some onions. Now you're gonna want these onions to just cook down a little bit so they get nice and translucent. I'm gonna add in a little bit of the seasonings that I have here. I'm not gonna use them all. And then I'm gonna add in about a tablespoon to start of flour. And you should get nice sticky a bit, and that is perfectly fine. Also add in some nutritional yeast. And be generous. Don't be nervous about nutritional yeast. It's really gonna give it that cheesy flavor. And then you're gonna add in some milk. You just want to stir it around, and this is what's going to help to kind of break up the flour. I'm going to put in a bit of salt here as well. And we're just going to give it a moment. Let it just do its thing. Let it start to bubble up a bit.
A few moments later.
Now, what's really good about letting your sauce sit to bubble up is so that I can really start to create that thickness. I'm always a big advocate for trying your food in the process. Just because I want to, I'm gonna add a little bit more nutritional yeast. Now we're going to add in some of our frozen green peas. That's it. Mix everything, all that in together. I'm gonna add in just a little bit of our pasta water. And this is just about done. Add in our pasta. Last but not least, add in our tofu and mix everything together. Oh yeah. I'm also gonna just top it off with a little bit more salt and a little bit more nutritional yeast. I'm gonna bring the stove down to a low heat. Now this is a delicious gourmet meal. You make this for anybody, they'll be super impressed. And there's a lot here, so you could definitely like have leftovers, maybe even have like a little dinner party at your house with your friends. And here it is, our vegan carbonara with green peas and tofu. All right, so let's give it a little try. So good, you gotta try this. Meal under $25, vegan carbonara.